Okay, my morning has started off kind of typical. I just went by school, didn't know that it was school zone time, didn't even think about that, but I saw a woman drop off her, or somebody, I don't know if it's a woman or not, drop off their child or children in a place where it says, do not drop off kids. Here, you know, it's marked and not do that. Then did a U-turn in the middle of the road and drove too fast. I'm like, okay, it's all about you. And no turning signal, none of that kind of stuff, yeah. Okay, hopefully the rest of the drive is not that bad, but I haven't really been out at this time in the morning in a while. And speaking of blinkers, you know I'm going to be tested on it myself. But, well, there's really nowhere else to turn. Else to go. No, anyway. I'm going to go do some, I have to go do some labs. It's kind of strange. The woman who scheduled them, she scheduled them for 2 separate days. And when I called to reschedule them, a different woman who answered, she said, well, I'm glad you called. She said, because those can be both done on the same day. And I had said, you know, so I do, which one do I do? You know, before I said, I know I have to do fasting for 4 hours. So, you know, something like that. I said something, I mentioned the 4 hours that the first woman had told me. She goes, where did you hear that? And I told her, she said, because we get a lot of people saying that, and that's not true. It's 8 hours. And, you know, this one or that one, whichever, because 2 different ones, and that could have been why she scheduled them different, because one said there was no fasting, and the other one there was, but still, you're wasting my time, you know, by scheduling them on 2 days, you know, really, seriously, think about it, okay, but, I don't know. But anyway, today I want to talk about something that has been bothering me for a while now. I don't know how long, actually. And but it's something I saw online. It was, you know, people do videos. They're more like, in a way, like vlogs, but not. You know, there's a particular genre. So, but some people do a mix, like me, of genre. Oh my goodness, this traffic is going to be this bad the whole way there. Oh, and then there's going to be this Bubba truck behind me tailgating me. Where did you think you're going to go? Yep, they got to have the Bubba truck who's tailgating. They got to do it, and they got to show their domination. Dominant crap. But anyway, yeah, it does look like I'm tailgating. I know. I'm zoomed in, though. The Bubba truck behind me. Here it comes. Right. Ooh, they got to get around. Ooh, domination. Okay. Now, what it was, like I said, I don't know how long it was, but ago, I had started watching someone who she does this kind of style, like I said, you know, sometimes it's a particular genre, but she also, when I first saw her, she admitted that she used to do a different type, and I think 2 different types before that of a particular genre, but, you know, overall they're vlogs at the same time, and my experience with that, with watching videos like that, is over 10 years, and I've seen a lot of people do this kind of thing, and that's often someone who's doing the you know, some kind of whether it's an E-Beggar or whatever it is, they're trying to get money from their audience, and which a lot of it is. It doesn't have to be an E-Beggar who does that. You know, some people, whatever they're doing, but I'm talking about the ones who do like a bit of a scam. they lie. We'll put it that way. They lie about something. Even if they're lying about who they are, what type of person they are. Okay? Like, the big one that I've seen far too often is that they'll claim to be Christians when they're not acting like Christians. But it makes you wonder, because then they'll do something totally unchristian-like. I mean, like I said, they're not acting like Christians. But it is as though that just follows right then, within the same video. So that's the biggest one that I've seen. Now this woman, I didn't see all that before. The two genres she was in before, but the thing about it is, usually that's what happens and then they cut off all those videos from whatever genre they're in before. Once they get, somebody outs them for what they are, and causes them problems, makes everybody see they're lying, they're this or that. Sometimes they'll take a break, sometimes they won't take a break. They just change genres and act all innocent and everything. Say, oh, that was a bad thing for me, or they might even admit to it. But the big question is, do they really change? Do people who have, these are like adult mean girls, adult mean boys, do they really change? Now, to me, I've seen this all my life. My degrees are in psychology and sociology, and I would, classify their behavior is quite often under histrionic personality disorder, those behaviors, those character traits, this kind of thing. I'm not diagnosing them, I'm just saying the behaviors are quite often as listed. Yeah, and just a adult mean girl. Do children, well, I don't talk about children, but do they ever change? The adult mean girls ever change as they grow up? I'm not one to say one size fits all in this kind of thing, and you can hear a lot of people say, no, they never change, but I think they may alter my personal view, and I could be wrong, is they might alter their behaviors for personal gain. Like in this, they alter their behaviors, they state their behaviors. They sometimes will act as though they're doing the right thing, or at least saying that they're doing the right thing, when you may see them behind the scenes. You'll see, not behind the scenes, well, it could be in person, but you'll see something that goes, wait a minute now. Okay, and it's not just one of those things that none of us are perfect, because none of us are perfect, and we're going to make mistakes. We can make the same mistake over and over until we learn that's a mistake. See what I'm saying? We shouldn't be doing that. But so some could say, yeah, that they're having to learn and to change their ways, and they were bad before and they're trying to change, along that line. But anyway, it seems like that's what she is putting out, that she's changing her ways and she's doing right. Now, the biggest thing that I personally saw while watching her, like I said, I don't know how long ago, when it was and all that, but the thing that I personally saw her do was quite surprising to me. Did not seem in character for this purge for her, and she had a choice to make. She put it up there. She made it that she was choosing. Okay, and that was between. She says she's Christian, and that was between which one was the most evil. Because she put it up, and it was a situation that she chose which one she thought was more evil. Nobody asked her to. Okay. And the choice was, one of them was Satan. Okay, you don't get more evil than Satan. I really don't know any Christian, any denomination, any of them who will say that Satan is not the most evil. I mean, really? Do you? Seriously. Okay. Now, what she did choose, like I said, nobody's putting her up to this. She's doing it herself. Was out of two situations, was something that is, I don't even know how to state it. Really, it's just something that people currently, young people, think of as really something. Ooh, what's going on with it? Something really bad, something evil, but it's not. It's not like as bad as Satan. It's nowhere near as bad as Satan. It's just something that's current. Something that, young, like I said, young people. And really, it's bad to say young people because there's a lot of people. You going to go out or what are you going to do? I'm waiting on you and you're not going to go. Okay. Pause. Not even the person behind. They're letting they want to go all the way over. I can tell you that. I can tell you that. They want to skip all 4 lines and get to that far one. You might want to go do a Yui over there because you're not going to get out here. Oh, I've been driving long enough. That's not going to happen. Okay, you get to look at the sky. I'm glad I turned that off when I did because I put in the address and I was like right there close to it. I knew that it was coming up, but didn't realize it was that soon. And anyway, I never show where I am. Totally. I mean, like something like this. But been online since the 80s, so. And the biggest one was starting really in 1990. But I had my first computer in 1980s. 82. 80s, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to start rambling now. Now that I'm here. But, like I haven't been already. But no, anyway, this woman, she does this thing of, like, when she's being mischievous, she has a little twinkle in her eye or something. But the thing about her little twinkle in her eye is, did she really change? Or is she just putting up a front? And like I said, she had this choice to, or did I finish that part? I think I may have turned it off. But it was something that, like, yeah, I mentioned this. It was just something that's popular nowadays, and it is really pushed by younger people. And when I say younger, I'm talking about mainly what I have seen is mainly people in their 20s. So something new, a new generational thing. But I don't like that. I don't like talking about generation because these things spread. For one thing, they may have been started off by somebody in my generation, as far as we know. But they spread, it becomes something cool. And any age group, any person of any age, not age group, but any person of any age, I've heard people my age group say stuff like that, so it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing either. People who just decide, oh, this is evil. When no, that's not pure evil. That's not evil. It really isn't. So I'm not going to mention what it is, but she had that choice, she put herself up for it, and that's what she chose. Well, not long, and when I saw that, I thought, whoa. I mean, I had been watching her for however long, I don't know. I thought, yeah, other people who are watching her have seen this one person, all of a sudden this, and then she just moved on. It was so just, like I said, out of character. And I mean, a person, I've already said it. A person who's Christian is going to say that Satan isn't the most evil. It just doesn't add up. But the whole scene didn't add up either. By the way, I'm like, it was 7:47 maybe when I got here, and my appointment is at 8:30. No, my appointment is almost an hour later. Or they say, be there, you know how they say, be there earlier. I don't know, do they say that where you live? These places be there, 15, some say 30 minutes earlier. Some say 15, whatever. I'm always early because you never know with traffic. But anyway, so to get back to that, then after she said this thing, and I maybe even went back and checked it again to see did I hear her? It's so out of character. And like I said, I hadn't seen her from before, and it was kind of like she would start talking about that, and people ask her about it, and she would say, "Well, I don't do that stuff anymore, on my videos and such." She just didn't want to do that. Well, as time went by, after she said that went, against, that was not very Christian to say. She started changing again. Okay, yeah, she started changing her, in a way, her genre, everything. She just changed it. Maybe that's her habit, okay? And she'd go into other ones also. She just kept doing it, changing her genre. And I think I've seen, I don't know, 3 or 4. But after that one seemed to be a big one. And I for her to say, pick something current and just, it's cool. It's a cool thing to say these days over Satan, as being the most evil. So people, I guess her audience didn't like it and let her know. So she changed genres again, where she could play, like, oh, poor her. And that seems to be something common. Oh, poor baby, oh, poor this, that, and the other. And, but she doesn't seem bad. And then she gets that little twinkle look in her, and she does it on purpose. And that kind of thing had bothered me, but I've seen this so many years now that where they're lying. That they're playing the game because they know that's how it's supposed to be played. So then, over time, like a lot do, like I said, one of the most common things is to say you're Christian. That's something common, is that they say they're Christian, yet they do stuff that's not Christian-like. And she doubled down, basically. As time went by, she went deeper and deeper into that, and doing the things according to what others would do who are Christian. Some others, not all others. But, that is one of the things that truly, truly, truly bothers me. Is for them to do that, to use that, because then it puts out a view of how the wrong view, like a false prophet, of how Christians behave. Christians don't go and do little bitty evil things and then smirk and have that sly look on their face. And that kind of teaching, to be an influencer. Let me do air quotes, influencer, and then do something like that. Now, at the same time, I know I'm going to be judged by my own yardstick. But I'm a Christian, obviously. I'm a Christian. I mean, isn't it obvious? But I know that I don't do everything right. And I admit to it. That's the thing. I know I don't do things right. And I do try to. Like, I really, one of them is really bothering me lately, is that I do, is I'll get mad. And I'm a very, always have been, people call me calm, cool, collected. I remember that. People would call me that. And they, I don't get very, I'm mild-mannered. That's basically it's mild-mannered. But I will get mad at, people, the way that they drive. That one should be obvious. I do. And that's in the way that the Christians that I have been raised behave is not like me. I know mine is like, it's there. It's like, hey, what are you doing? You're going to hurt somebody. You're going to get somebody killed. I have that immediate reaction. And I want to be a bit more calmer. And I do see that it's happening as I age. I'm 61. But I don't know. I think it's just because I've seen so many injustices, in my life and stuff like that. The people, like been telling Adam lately, I said, he was one to tell me one time, he said, start using your horn. These people sitting there, he says they're using this certain social media. They're sitting at the light and they're looking at their phone, and there's nobody in front of them because everybody has gone, and they're holding up traffic, to honk at them. But I even say this, that, we had a discussion yesterday about it. It's like the people who are doing wrong, like in driving, it's just representative of other things. Those of us who know they're doing wrong, who should use our horn and say, hey, what are you doing? You're holding up traffic, and wake up. And we're not supposed to be sitting here waiting for you to finish watching your whatever. And so those of us who know, hey, you're doing wrong, we're not supposed to say anything. But the person who's doing wrong is not supposed to be shamed. Is not supposed to be, hey, beep, beep, get on down the road. You get what I'm saying? Like they're just okay. They can, you're not supposed to say anything. Well, there is something in this too. There's another Christian view that some would see in that situation. But which one is the one that should be? It should be. You see? Anyway, I got 30 minutes before I have to go in there, but maybe I'll go in there and go to the restroom first, because they might make me wait forever and a day. But anyway, you get what I'm saying. I wonder what this place is in front of me. I really do. But anyway. So to see that, I'm, to wrap this one up, to see that woman, she does seem to be saying that she's changing and she's working on it. I'm saying I'm changing and I'm working on it. But is she? Now, some would say, well, are you? You see? But mine is questioning, am I wrong? Because if nobody points out, hey, you don't own this road, and you're sitting there on your cell phone holding up all this traffic, nobody lets them know, what then? You see? Does it become more common? It has. So is somebody supposed to say something? Now, I have a reference in my head that, yes, according to Christianity, but the same one I have, one that says no. So, anyway, like I said, I'm gonna go in there. I can debate this later. Talk to you on another video. Bye. Okay, that was pretty fast. It is 8:26, and my appointment wasn't until 8:45. And I'm already back in my SUV, but I am winded. When I went in there, it was all like, wait, do you know where the lab is? I said, no, I've never been to it. So the woman showed me. It was down some long halls, kind of longish, and but I had stopped and started a few times already, going in there and all that. You have to pay for it, then stop there. Then first I went to the restroom, stopped there. Then I went and pay for it, stopped there. But now on the way out, however, I was totally turned around, but I was at the back of the building. And being at the back of the building, I said, how do I get out of here? Get back to the front. And boy, I was not expecting it to be that far, seriously. Okay, now I am fairly certain that this was the longest walk that I have done since I was in the hospital earlier this month. This month is almost over now, but when I went to the ER with, it turned out they just called, the cardiologist just called it heart failure, and he told me, oh, so it's a harsh term, but don't think the worst thing, and basically told me it was just it was my fair warning kind of thing. You know, it was the beginning of it, and not the beginning of it, a total, I don't know. I was in the hospital, in the ER by myself. And anyway, at that point, I could not walk that far. I could not, I mean, it's luckily the ER, I was parked right there, practically at the ER door, you know, in the correct parking spot. And because I couldn't walk hardly at all. It was bad. And anyway, so this now is about I have not walked that far straight. And when I did have to stop right at close to the door, and there has some lights out there, you know, the lights covered and that stuff for design and all. I just kind of leaned on it, like for not even a minute, I would say, just paused, you know, and then continued walking. But yeah, that's one of the things I'm working on in physical therapy. Well, actually, I'm not working on it in physical therapy. Physical therapy, one of the things I'm working on is steps to be able to step up, like, you know, like if I'm going to walk a whole bunch, but it's the exercise is just step up, step down, step up, step down. That's just one of. Trust me, just one of. So, traffic is still kind of heavy out there. But anyway, I did the labs. It was fast, like I said. And I scheduled the next thing I have to do. I'm a person, I don't like having a whole bunch of stuff scheduled. You know, I bought a planner just for these appointments. Seriously. I already have 3 planners. Yeah, one of them I just keep, you know, I have different things for each one. And I keep information I need, like for taxes and stuff. You know, that kind of thing. And, yeah, and, yeah, just little information that I want for myself. I always have 3, and now I have 4. 4, just 4 appointments. But one of them is actually, 2 of them are actually the same kind of thing, but I need 3, you know, 2 to do them. Anyway, you need to know all that. But this with appointments is a lot. And anyway, when I came back out and I was standing up against that light, you know, they kind of look like, you know, when you go to sometimes a restaurant or a store or something, and they have those poles out front so nobody will drive into you know, literally drive into the store. And they're kind of, the top of them is kind of dome shaped, but there's poles, you know, probably about grapefruit or bigger size around. And I was standing there, and it was like not right there at the door, but I could smell that awful smell. And when I went in there, I had the nerve, because I walked in and was like, oh my God, this is, you know, only the second time I've been there, and the second time it's hit me like that. And it smells like body odor. It smells like people who haven't taken a bath in a few days, and a whole bunch of them. And I'm like, God, whoa, you know. And so I had the nerve. I got up there, and I asked her, I said, what is that smell? And she goes, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm thinking, are you that nose blind? She's there, you know, she works there. And she was there the last time. Same woman. And she said, what I don't know what you're talking about. She said, some people do complain, and they tell them that it's the wood on this, and I looked up and I saw the wood, thinking, yeah, I guess it could be, but you know, wow. Everybody who walks in there is going to go, whew, you know, like me. It hit me both times like a ton brick, so, That's a design flaw. It's real open in there. That's just a design flaw. Yeah. Okay, maybe others wouldn't call it a design flaw, but whoever thought of that would be a good thing to do in a waiting room is to put smelly wood. Yeah, makes absolutely no sense. So anyway, I'm on the right road, I guess. Okay, yeah, I had to stop. Everybody kept going. It was yellow, and they just kept going. And I said, I'm not doing that, because sometimes when people are like that, they just suddenly stop, and you're right in the middle of the road. So I said, I don't do that. You don't do that. And it turned red exactly when that one in front of me finally moved. And anyway, yes, I think I'm on the right road. Pretty sure, 99% sure. And I'm going to stop and get me something to eat because I've been fasting and not in any hurry to go home just yet. Adam actually has taken one of our dogs to the vet. He had originally, when Adam went, when I went into the ER that day before, I went in the evening, the day before, the morning before, Adam dropped off our dogs at the kennel, because he and his brother that had just suddenly decided to come visit, and that they would go to visit all their family members in Texas. Just decided that. That's really bad about his family. He's his older brother. Well, the next day I wound up in ER with congestive, something else said congestive heart failure, but that's not what the cardiologists, both of them, said. The one there, the one that I have for follow-up, and my regular cardiologist now. They didn't call it that. But anyway, I was bad off, you would think. Yeah. But Adam took the dogs to the kennel. Well, I don't know how long after, when he brought, when he come back, got the dogs, he started noticing that one of them was coughing. So he said that the kennel cough shot, what is it called? Bordetella, I don't know, Bordetella, something like that. It was late. So he was thinking that's what it was. He took the dog back to the vet, and the vet said, no, he's just got bronchitis. And the dog wasn't getting any better. It's the pit bull. So cute, the pit bull. He's so sweet too. But it's an American pit bull terrier. They get a bad rep, and they shouldn't have a bad rep. And anyway, he's very sweet, but he's lost a bunch of weight. He took him, so he's taking him back yet again. To say, hey, if they let him. I think Adam just wasn't having any luck feeding the dog his antibiotics, because all of a sudden there's this huge bottle of antibiotics sitting there. And I think Adam just wasn't getting the dog to eat them. Because to take them, hit him in. There were meatballs. He was doing that for a while, and the dog got wise to it and won't do it. But then yesterday he says, I'm so proud of myself, I got the dog to take his antibiotics and his cough medicine. It's a cough pill. It just says something like that, cough for coughing. It doesn't say the name of it. But anyway, hopefully the poor thing is not gonna get worse and die. It's been so sad. I've been up trying to keep it calm, and it only coughs really at night. That's when once it starts to get dark and everything, it starts to cough. Cannot figure that one out at all. Okay, I called Adam, and he said he's dropped off the dog They just said leave him here, and when they get a chance, they'll check him out. And that's all they can do right now. Is just took down the information, and they'd already given him steroid before. And the last time that Adam brought him, said maybe they'll give him something stronger, because he has lost weight. That's what we both see it. But whether he actually has, as far as when they weigh him, we don't know. But he does look like he's lost weight. He doesn't look well. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. I'll talk to you on another video. Bye.